And you might already know these definitions. You might already kind of maybe even take them for granted. But if you really consider why you're doing something and how you're doing something, maximizing astral projection, the benefits, the things that you take away, the things that you learn, the things that, all the things about it, when you do that, when you really have your intention and attention aligned, you will not only get much better results, but you'll have a lot of deep healing and a lot of deep success and manifestation. Why is that? Well, in Astral Projection Workshop number 3, we talked about opening portals to parallel worlds, dimensions, realities, and other places in this one. And the benefit of that is to get, receive, work with the energies of those spaces and places in a way that you can bring them to this one. So in terms of healing, global pandemic types of things, or poverty, or polluted oceans, or destroyed forests, or strengthening yourself, or healing, or praying for other people, when you can connect with the universe, the parallel dimension, the parallel timeline, the place in reality where that exists. And as you remember, and as Annie Z showed so well, open the portal, connect that stream of energy to yourself or to your world, and then pop up in higher dimensions and realize other people are doing that as well. All the light workers around the world and ascended masters and beings of many titles and traditions and no title or tradition. You'll realize that the more you have quality attention, the sharper and finer and more exact and specific this work will be. So if you are focused 100% on a happy, joyful thing, on a happy, joyful vibration, somebody in a workshop said, take on the emotion of hyperjoy. So when you focus on that emotion or peace or anyone you want, and you're fully focused, that's going to fill the entirety of your being. But if while you're doing that, you're thinking of, well, I want some coffee, when am I going to do the things on my to-do list, or I have to clean my room and the bathroom, and I have to wash the dog, or wash the car, or wash the car out of the dog, or the dog out of the car, or all of that, anything you think about related to work or family, etc. Even if that's just 10% of your attention, that's not just 10% away from your capacity to bring in hyperjoy in this example, or peace, etc. If you think about an exponential curve, and I really look forward, I have a big thing, like a thing to write on, an easel. That's what those things are called. And so up in the esoteric, I have to remind myself that the physical world is important too. So imagine an exponential curve. It's a graph that goes up like this. Now, the last 10% is the greatest 10%. For anybody who's looked at compounding interest and a retirement fund, most of your money is made in the last year. Why? Well, you invest $100 and you get 10% interest, just say, easy math. The next year you have $110 because you made 10 bucks. That year, if you make another $10, you make 11 and not 10. Now, the next year you make your 10% on 121, etc. So after, say, 30, 40 years, you're not just making 10 or 20% of your starting balance. In this case, your starting attention for energy, you're getting the massive most amounts. And you might have known this in meditation. If you ever had a meditation practice or goal, and you aim to continuously raise the bar, can you meditate for an extra 5, an extra 10, an extra 20, however you organize it? I know for myself, I've had 3-hour meditations, and the times where I blast off and go to other dimensions or go in what I perceive as a version of samadhi and just feel joy and peace and love and at one with creation and can see intentions clearly as they would be and see them and feel them manifest, and then they happen the next day. Like seeing somebody move in March 8th, which is a really weird day for a housemate, and somebody applies the next day for that, which hadn't happened before. Or knowing I'll be at a festival and just seeing, hey, I want to meet a certain person, and they'll just walk out from the EDM stage and walk right up to me, and we'll just start, having just like this gooey, yummy sensation. Well, that happened right after I did it. And in real time, if you get really good at that last 10%, at that highest amount, that part where you really may not want to continue, you really have to exert effort, same in strength training and muscle growth, that's where a lot of the growth can happen. So people ask, David, why do you give 2-hour workshops and Facebook lives for free or for donations or for whatever anybody would contribute? I like stretching that in myself. And I like raising capacity. And I think that's valuable for you too. Your emotional capacity is the amount of stimuli you can encounter in your mind or in the world and maintain or quickly restore your equanimity. By quickly, I'll say within 5-10 seconds. So it's relatively effortless. So you don't have to zone out or tune out. For mental stamina, that's, relatively easy. How much can you stay on topic and complexity? For attentional stamina, how can you keep one pointed focus? And this is hard in Zen. In Zen, you focus on just say your third eye or your breath. Nothing else matters. In complex visualizations, when you're being guided, it can actually be a bit easier because your mind is busy. But at the same time, say it was projection workshop number 1, where we talked about merging with the sun and feeling its bright, enriching, yummy, infinite solar energies and just bursting with that love and fire of creation. That feels so good. Those are some of the meditations I've stuck in for a long time. And even for me, teaching this stuff, we're all students here. Sometimes something would come up. Oh, here's this person, they could use this help. Send the energy to them. Oh, hey, remember last time you went for a run, your knee hurt after so and so time. Blast your knee and get your knee perfectly healed. And then, the list would start. And if the intention was charge up for X minutes or to X state, and then send the charge to, number Y, Z, A, B, C things, cool, I followed my intention properly. But if my attention wasn't super focused, other things that were not my intention could have come in. And what does it mean if you do or act on, in thought, in speech, in action, something that wasn't intended? You could say it's spontaneous, and that's a great word when it's really true, but you could also, and in your heart of hearts, say it was impulsive or reactive. And there are times for that. If you see a tiger and you impulsively get up and run away, that's a healthy impulse, but we generally don't live in a world where there are immediate threats to our physical danger. So that being the exception, excitement is something that can come up and may come up for many of you today. And as I've said even today, when you rewatch one of these workshops and reabsorb the information until you know it so well you could teach it, at least repeat it word for word if if your background is still building. And even if you've done the meditations many, many times, re-going over it can ingrain it in your system as a tool. And while your subconscious mind recalls everything perfectly you've ever encountered and is available to if you're properly open, getting things in your conscious mind, especially if you feel they're valuable enough to allocate time to, if you leave this in the middle, that's obviously different. But if you feel anything is valuable enough to dedicate time to, consider that mastery continuum. And as I said before, I had a mentor who took a wealth and abundance workshop 10 times, and he wanted to until he mastered the material. So that being said, mastering your intentions is reflective of your soul alignment. So I'm working with a beautiful, beautiful human and former Buddhist monk, John Patrick Mueller, and we're creating something called the Soul Aligned Mastermind. And that's going to be a series of videos where there's every single week live content and a continuous bank of valuable, rich, magical content. But the purpose of the naming, we were just focusing on the structure of the curriculum today, was what does it mean to live from soul, to be fully aligned, body, mind, spirit, emotions, in everything you do, in your life purpose and how you treat yourself and the impact you want to make in the world. And I'm sharing that because alignment is such a core thing here. Using the spine and the chakras as a reference point. If I'm just going to use my neck because I'm camera up right now. This could be obviously with your pelvis or mid back. But if I'm like this, as I was for most of my life, this actually was more comfortable for me than a proper neck posture. A million reasons, but let's just say this feels natural to you. This feels normal, right? For some people, being stressed feels normal. This is not an aligned spine. This is compromised blood flow and energy flow up from the heart to the upper chakras. So my throat chakra, you could say, it could have been a bit distorted. My third eye and my crown could have had both fewer messages of information, like your body and your heart being connected, and less of the upper streaming to the lower. So what can happen, especially in spiritual communities and people drawn to the spiritual path, or honestly, artists and entertainers and performers, or anybody with a strong right brain, you can be upper chakra dominant. And that can lead to a disowning of, or a unwillingness, or I hate the words lack and desire because they have so many connotations, but just to be simple, you know what I mean, lack of desire for anything related to the lower chakras or aversions on certain topics. So things related to safety, relationships, sexuality, money and abundance, personal willpower, digestion, self-worth is a really big one in the world right now. and concepts like trust and its, shadow counterpart betrayal. And, those are big, big themes. And of course, there's strength in the lower chakras, like a strong will, a lot of personal power, quality, healthy, genuine, loving relationships, strong grounding and earthly presence. Those things in the lower three. In the heart, there's, fear, there's courage, there's love, there's anger, healthy and unhealthy, there's being open to vulnerability and surrender and all that. And so if in this tiny example, this isn't aligned, your neck isn't aligned, your meridians aren't aligned, then things can't be connected, or it's harder for them to. So you might have a vision of your ideal self as this courageous, beautiful, loving, safe, worthy, like amazing human, but your outward expression, maybe your internal thoughts may not have that, may not embody that, because your lower chakras, especially the second in this case with those topics, if there's anything you need to clear, if there's a distortion, if there's a weakness, if there's a strength, there may not be as much of a communication here. And I'm sharing this because I want to teach you all this stuff in a safe way, which means I don't want you to get so excited you get lost and say goodbye material world, unless you have a very safe system to take care of your material needs. This has happened to a lot of people. There's a lot of meditation teachers and spiritual people who are like, I love blissing out, peace, peace, everybody. I'm like saying goodbye to the material world. Not necessarily ending their physical life, but grooming habits can go downhill, cleaning habits can go downhill, caring about practical money things like saving and emergency contingency funds can go downhill. And the need to ground to take care of those things can often lead to substance abuse and weight gain and other stuff. So when you're fully open and connected, you're much less likely to have the risk of abusing personal power or abusing sexual power. And if I could be so bold, you're much less likely to attract those energies towards you, whatever that means for you, because if there's any wound related to any of those topics that your subconscious mind and energy field and manifestation field is calling in an experience to remind you of an earlier trauma or wound so that you can finally heal and release it from your system, that's going to happen a lot less if you're fully aligned. Now, when you get aligned from places where you previously weren't, and that's consistent, sure, much more might come up. If, for example, you're not used to doing cartwheels and you just want to learn cartwheels, maybe you never had to use your wrists in that way, but your wrists might hurt in a certain way. And you might learn that your carpal muscles, the muscles we use when we type, carpal tunnel, your carpals may not be properly balanced with the musculature around your wrist. So before you can do cartwheels, you have to strengthen your wrist. Maybe parts of your core have to be strengthened, even if you were happy with your body and your body looked good. Hey, thanks, Anne. Appreciate it. She says, yo, bro, tell it true. Peace. So same thing with your chakra system. If you, in your astral form, as we'll get into in a little bit, if while manifestation is happening, if while you're traveling, you would like to create something or shift into something, and the reason you haven't experienced that something, let's just say, is because of some block you haven't cleared or healed. If your root chakra is strong, aligned, and connected, or you can be nourished by that frequency, which I'll make some significant efforts to support in this container with. So anybody who has an area to fill in, it can be filled in for you. If there's something that you're not aware of, it could show up in other ways. So for example, if there is a pattern of anxiety that has been in your system, either recently or throughout life, or even phases of life, and you look at a timeline that you want to align with this timeline through whatever methods that we'll describe or we have described, and there's a topic that has been associated in your system with anxiety, you might have anxiety rise up as the manifestation is happening, not just this one, but any manifestation led by anybody or on your own. If you're really, really aware, awake, and aligned and in tune with your bodies, your energy, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual bodies, you can find the source of that and transmute it. You can feel grateful for it, for the lessons it taught you. You can release its hold on you and your hold on it, needing it to protect an old wound that you realize that you don't need to serve you anymore. And any sabotage it would do, like, oh, hey, look at me, or oh, hey, don't go there, those false lenses will go away. Now, if there's trust here between us, you'll feel comfortable where I'm leading you. If there isn't trust, that could be from two main things. Either it's not right for you to do it at this time, although likely you wouldn't be tuned in if that were the case because your intuition would have led you elsewhere, or there's something for you to work through. And I would encourage you, if that comes up, and this is general education again for this workshop and overall in life, if you ever feel like you need to avoid something, or you should because it's disturbing in some way, I encourage you to get to the highest state of awareness you can before you go back into it. And the reason I do is, borrowing from Einstein, it's really difficult, if not impossible, if not insane, to solve a problem from the state of consciousness or mind or knowledge one was in while that problem came about. So if you're feeling anxious, it's kind of not helpful to examine your own anxiety. If you're, because your left brain isn't as online, it's hard to think, plan, decide, analyze properly, or you're very reactive, you want to deal with what's happening now. So if you can get in a higher state, above anxiety, above the story and importance of things in this lifetime, in this incarnation, and just feel like the love of the higher planes, of the sun, of the oneness of the infinite universe, of the god or goddesses you love to work with, of me, of whoever, then you have so much more resource. Now, when that's not available, or if and when there's topics where you don't feel that is easily readily available at hand, that's a good time to get a session. And a session is when somebody who has more skills, experience, resourcefulness, knowledge than you can support you in healing, clearing, upgrading. I got 4 sessions today, and they were with one of the most powerful healers, if not the most powerful healer I've ever seen, who's in a physical body. And I cleared so much stuff. Last night, I had memories come back from when my umbilical cord was cut. Yeah, like the movie Lucy. But it was real, and I was seeing it, and I felt how that affected me, and I did some work there. All throughout the last several years, I've had clear memories of other lifetimes and incarnations to reconcile. And when your awareness expands and you identify with the soul, not just the body, you realize you have access to your past lives, like the Avatar in Airbender and Korra. Beautiful shows and transmissions. But even people on operating tables or near-death experiences or any astral traveler could share that what you can perceive is not limited to your 5 senses. And of course, that's what we're diving into here in about 15, 20 minutes. We'll start the meditations and exercise. So in number 2, we talked a lot about magical theory, and I built that up, why I'm building that up now, so your rational mind can find its way back to where we're going. And so you can have the framework so that when you go into higher states to project, if you slip out, which can happen for any reason, a distracting noise or anything, then you know why to get up there and you know how to get up there. And I feel this is a more effective teaching than just the airy-fairy, now we are meditating in outer space and you are floating like a dog with a tutu in the galaxies of joy and hummingbirds. Like videos all about that can be fun and cute, but practically, they seem a little fairy or a little flaky or, not as practical. So I'm sharing this at the moment in the level of the mental so you can integrate this stuff and again, find your way back. So just want to open again if anybody has a quick question they want to throw for me to answer as a critical part of this or towards the end. There's 2 more things that I'd like to share with you before we go into the meditation and the astral projection practice. The first is, well, last time we focused on global stuff, global healing, and global transmutation. And the first time we focused on really being resourced. And the second time it was so far out there, my conscious mind, my ego mind, I'd have to get into a higher state to remember it because that was a very trippy one. Just being real with you here, if you have a clear intention, a clear goal for your life, I would say consider that goal and try to pick just one thing, and that will come up in the projection today. And it could be of any topic. You could end up sharing it. You could choose to not share it, but just think of a major life goal that you believe in your current state can realistically happen in the next 3 to 5 months. So if it's the goal of your dream life, if it's being on Oprah, if it's resurrecting somebody, if it's flying around the sky, if you rationally believe that stuff is possible within give or take 4 months, then go for it. But otherwise, think of a goal you'd like to have experienced and just let that sit in your mind. Focus back on the video here, but just let your mind be aware of that. And if you're not sure, just let your intuition decide for you. The next component, and the last before we get into the meditation that I'd like to share, is consider your real intention behind coming here today. Astral traveling is a great skill. All these abilities are great skills. And likely, if you look deep within, you may already know the answer. You showed up here for a deeper, more important reason than that. You showed up here, I'm wagering for most of you, to expand your being and your awareness, to remember and re-become something much greater than a human, than the human as you've known it to be defined. Maybe your reference point is re-becoming an ascended master or goddess or god. Maybe it's to be, the best you can be, or like your role model, or like the version of you, your higher, best ideal self that you have in your head. Whatever the core key intention was, I would offer that you see our practices today, and to be honest, all of your spiritual practices, as fueling that. Because that is far more meaningful than a 4-month goal or speeding up how quickly it takes the world to heal of a pandemic, even though that's very, very crucial, right? Even though it's very, very important, and some might take issue with that, but this is just my feelings for this moment. Because when you are your highest, truest self, there's no space for guilt or shame for not being who you feel you should be. There's no struggle of willpower of creating and stepping into the new versus the comfortable and the known. There's no hesitation for reinventing yourself. Maybe that's changing your hair color. Maybe that's changing your name. Maybe that's changing your gender. Maybe that's changing your career. Maybe that's changing one or many relationships or where you live, right? Maybe that's changing some or all of those things in a brief moment or in a bigger scale. And any of those, especially the gender one, can be so significant. But I would offer to you, and as a bit of homework, unless you want to reach out to me for a session and we can visualize it together, I would offer for you in your own meditations to consider each of those major categories, even gender. And if you don't define gender as biological sex, even that. And if you could have a meditation of yourself as all of those things, and then maybe even as animals, plants, trees, rocks, spirits, gods, goddesses, suns, we do some of that here, but we haven't done all of it, you will start to crack the ego identity that is fixed on your name and face and current life story. And that is so valuable when going through the continuum of awakening, because as you identify with the soul, limitations go away. And as you identify as soul, all of these abilities aren't seen as mystical or advanced or special. They're seen as a natural human ability and something that you can build to, that you could do, like a cartwheel or learning piano if you so chose. Yet even more than that, they reflect a state of, I'm going to say health, but it's so much more than health. So if you could do a cartwheel, that has certain things about your base physical fitness. Same if you could run a mile. Whether or not your legs are working right now, that, everything I believe can be healed, anything and everything. And if you can do, a cartwheel or a backflip or piano or Japanese, learning those safely, those say things about the health and qualities and abilities and status and capacity of your body and mind, and largely spirit. So you expanding your identity beyond your current ego mind of this current life incarnation, you having experiences where that is demonstrated, that really anchor it in with memory, will do so much for your liberation and freedom. So all the things I talked about, freedom from reactive emotion, moving up the enlightenment continuum, meditating at Zen one-pointed focus for 2 hours for 13 days, as Sadhguru did, or as it says he did. If and when you shift up that awakening continuum where you know yourself closer to being one with all things, all places and times, start with one past life, I think, and then expand. And I'm saying not just a memory or a vision of a past life or words that may have come through in a reading, but actually being able to move through that life and memories through the years like this life. That's really, really integrating it, right? And as you do that, as you expand your awareness and your experience through astral projection methods or through other methods, it's much easier with astral projection, and we'll do a bit of it, which is fun. We did I Am Gaia last time. That was just for a bit, but that was really nice. I did more on my own because that was a lot of curiosity there. So as you expand your definition of self, it gets easier to know yourself as what you see. Now, I'm going to share a few things I don't often share, but I'm going to share it because I have a certain philosophy that not all of my teachers have agreed with. And I know not everybody agrees with everything, but I believe there's certain groups and certain mindsets that like certain things. And this may not be true for everything or everybody, but I believe some things are naturally intrinsic in motivation and some things are extrinsic. For example, for me, money is mainly extrinsic. It's mainly a thing to be able to do other things. I don't naturally have a care for it. I'm still trying to get it. It's kind of confusing, even though it makes sense logically. But intrinsically, I care about my health and happiness. That's just normal. I care about people I love. I care about other people around me just because I do. I'll take time for free to support somebody in a moment of need, or I'll, clean something up on the sidewalk, or if I'm in a park and I see some litter. I just care about living in a clean, happy world intrinsically. But, building a follower base on social media, that's a reflection of an intrinsic thing that I care to help a lot of people, but I really need to think about it extrinsically, like how does this lead to that? And so that's a blend of the two. So if your spiritual commitment isn't fully, oh yes, it's so right and true and perfect for me to ascend, enlighten, and be, if it's more like, oh, it's a good idea, it may or may not be important, allow these two brief stories to maybe be a motivation that could fit in either category. So there is a time when I was working with weather magic, and the part of astral projection where the part of you goes elsewhere than where you are and does things that your physical body can't do, you're claiming your identity as more than a physical being and body. And the astral projection exercises we did when you were Gaia, or you were the sun, or you were one with everything, or you as consciousness went into the mind and body of a different version of yourself. I'm pretty sure that was number 1 and number 2. You're doing what I was mentioning earlier about identity. So when it was raining one day in Palo Alto, like very, very rainy. It doesn't rain here very often. We're just south of San Francisco, where it rains a lot. And it was pouring rain, like totally you'd be drenched going from like house to the car, even just running 20 feet. And I was with my friend, who I'll call Zing, and I drove us home from a restaurant with friends. And it was just the two of us in the car. Rain everywhere, sky's kind of dark. You could hear the rain pattering on the car. And we saw the time, it was like 6:30. I said, hey, do you want to stop the rain in a big circle around this car within 5 minutes, just so we don't take credit for it whenever it happens? And she's like, sure, David. So I'm like, okay, let's note the time when it's, so 6:31 we'll start, and let's hold hands and I'll guide us through how to do it. And we held hands, 6:31 happened, we closed our eyes, and it's coming back. I have to stand up straight. Remember to stand up straight because my body just wants to blast off. And higher states of awareness do take a lot of your being. I felt the me that was the clouds, allowing the rain to fall. I felt the me that was the rain. I was aware of the me in this body, in this car, and speaking to you now. And connecting with that moment of time, I willed and allowed myself to move backwards as a cloud, as a collection of clouds, and recede from the point above the car. And as that knowing of that shift happened, it was an intuitive knowing of how and what to do, just like raising an arm. And as that happened, it felt so right, like moving a muscle that felt so good to move that I hadn't moved in so long, but that just I've always known how to do. That magic has always been there. And as that movement happened, the rain that was going started going, and after another 20 seconds, it went, and then it stopped. And I had this elated smile, and Zing was like, whoa. And right after that, because her ego came back online. So I said, hey, let's continue the shift and let's complete it. So we went through the meditation, we reshifted, the rain slowly slowed down and then stopped. And we gave it about 30, 45 seconds of not raining to, confirm and feel the anchoring. We opened our eyes. I turned the car time thing on, and it was 6:36. They're like, cool, within 5 minutes, we got it. I opened the car door, didn't feel any rain. Stepped out of the car and saw, like, in 500 feet of that direction, 500 feet of that direction, and behind us and in front of us, there was no rain. There's a huge circle, but beyond that circle, there was a ton of rain. That was really cool because banishing clouds is one thing. A lot of us have tried cloud bursting and succeeded, or cloud reshaping, which is, I think, a little bit more fun. And a lot of us may have prayed for rain or an ending of rain, and then within some time frame, a day or two, it stopped, and we're like, oh, great, did my intention have any effect on that? But having such an immediate and specific effect on the immediate physical world around me felt so good and liberating. It was like the time, and I have to remind myself, this is casual to me because it's so much part of my world, but when I tell people, they're like, whoa. After a festival, I saw the movie Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. And it was so uplifting and inspiring that I drove to the top of a mountain, and I did what a good friend and men's coach, Mike Rostowski, said. I looked up at the sky and I said, shooting star, activate. And right away, a tiny shooting star streaked across the heavens. And speaking to and with them as if they were a close friend who's tuned into me, I'm like, oh, come on, we could do better than that. Shooting star, activate. And I swear to all the gods and goddesses, a massive shooting star, like so much brighter, or comet or whatever you want to call it, came across the sky a little bit above the other one. It was like 5-10 times brighter and bigger. That felt pretty awesome. Now, I'm sharing this because when you respect the universe and feel one with the universe, even a rock, even a key, right? When you respect something like this and the validity of it to exist, and I'm even going to go on a limb and say as a sovereign being, you are raising it up in the level of equality and esteem, closer to a human being, thanks, Anne. And by doing that, even with something like a key, you are closer to seeing it as part of the divine. Consider that. If you're divine and something isn't, you could say something isn't worth your time, or something might be worth your blessing if it prays to you, or if it's in the cosmic plan or whatever. But if you're also at higher dimensions, at 9D, everything, and there's a part of yourself that you disregard, there's not going to be a lot of attention or importance attached to that. And that's how we live. It's hard to look at the remains of an avocado as just as holy and precious as a beautiful temple full of people who are calling in this sky love and regrowing force around the world, right? Stark contrast to a rotting avocado to that. But if the divine is in everything, if you are in everything, then all parts of the divine, all parts of reality, all parts of you are beautiful. And to create a change in physical reality and to be able to feel one with something, it doesn't serve you to look down upon that thing. I just want to let that soak in. If you want to affect any type of change as a magician, as whatever word you want to use, it's good, it's essential, it's incredibly, very crucial to hold that thing, whatever it is, in high regard. So think of relationships. Now I want to say this one more time. This is core. If you want to affect any significant change in anything you observe, it's critical to hold that thing in high regard, especially if that thing offends you. So if there's a person or situation in your life which causes you upset, a politician, a relationship, a phenomenon, a society thing, whatever, and you hold that in disregard, you send hate or negative emotion towards that thing, I could write a long list of how that stuff isn't valuable for you. Hey, thanks, brother. I could say a lot about how that could affect your organs and energy body. But if you hold hatred or anger or disregard for a thing, you're sending energy to that and maybe empowering it if it feeds off that stuff, if it's in any way dark, but you're also distancing yourself from it. And if you're distancing yourself from something, how can you make precise changes in it? Now, I'm not saying you should change everything, nor can everything, or is it right for everything to be changed instantly, however you want. Maybe your intention is coming from a place of wounded ego or fear. Any of that's possible. But if there's a thing or a person or a concept which you have loathing for, or anything that you want to be distant from it, it's going to be much harder to affect. And I just want to offer that rather than dive into all those topics, because I think all of those words could be a workshop. So if you want workshops on any of those topics or any I mentioned at all, just comment on this video and I'll take that a note, because I'm creating 4 workshops a week now. So as we're considering this, and as you're considering the astral projection and your goal, if you have one, if not, like, try to decide on it now. Oh, much love. So many beautiful humans. As you're considering that concept, that goal you have, if anything comes up in your head space, your heart space, your cosmic field, your imagination, your body, whatever, try to have love for it. Please, please. If you can't have love, do your best to be neutral. Because I've talked about the negatives, so I want to shift away from the aversion stuff. Love, okay, this might sound cliche, but just take it on heart, take it on face value. Love is gravity in the sense of manifestation. And the one thing from the movie Interstellar, sorry, minor spoiler alert, not a major one, hit mute for 10 seconds if you don't want to hear it. They say love and gravity are one. So what does that mean? If you love something, you pull it towards you. What does that mean? Well, say you want to have a beach body or a house that you own and that is given to you, or a certain relationship or life experience, or for a certain person to be changed in a certain way. Again, it could be politically, personally, socially, romantically, professionally, any of that. And you send out these emotions that are negative and push it away. You make it harder to change that, or your version, your experience of that aspect of you. And if you can love that object of your enmity, then you are pulling it closer to you. Now, if this is triggering, don't do it until you clear the trigger. But if you're open to it as a sandbox experiment that will permanently affect you, that's a thought experiment, and this thing that you loathe, I think most of us have figured out one, if not many by now, if you pull it towards you, you're closer to seeing the oneness between it and you. And when there's a oneness, especially felt by both parties, if it's another person, change can be so much more rapid, dramatic, and instant. So the times when the weather's been affected, when shooting stars came on command, when telekinesis happened, when materializations happened, when electronic telekinesis happened, when rapid instant healing happened, I have 85, maybe 111, miracles that I've seen or witnessed that I consider just natural human abilities. We just have to remember, reawaken to, rebuild our capacity and skills for. We're all Merlin, we're all Mary, we're all every god and goddess, right? At that oneness level. When you can love something, it isn't just the hippie, oh, peace and love, man. That's the master magician skill, right? This is being serious and real. This isn't just being floaty, flaky, positive emotion, positive thoughts, right? Positive thoughts are great. More oxytocin, more serotonin, you're more optimistic, you're more creative. There's all the psychology research for that stuff. But especially when you're manifesting or healing for yourself and or others, even though they're one and the same in the higher realms. When you're manifesting, if you feel greater amounts of love, that will accelerate what you bring in. It will amplify the manifestation that you're intending and focusing on, and it will clear anything in your system that arises when you're considering it. And I'll give you one example, because I would love to shift into the meditation in just a second. So say, let me just pick a neutral example. So say Susan. Let's just make up a person named Susan, say they were in your life, and if they're, you can substitute any name anytime you want. And say Susan wronged you like 50 times. Say she was in your life for some long amount of time. And one way she wronged you in was that's part of your story, is related to healthy eating. And when you think about eating healthy, she just comes up as a nag. And you've cleared maybe some memories and some personal habits. And maybe part of your manifestation is like a beach body, or a gymnast body, or a martial arts master body, or an Olympian body, in functionality and form and whatever, right? Just because that's something simple most of us, if not all of us, can relate to. A fully healed body. If, as you're doing that, part of your manifested vision is related to the concepts that diet and physical performance and appearance are related. And while you're relating those, you hear Susan nagging you, don't eat that donut, or that's so bad for you, or that'll give you cancer, or, oh, you're one of those healthy people, one of those types of humans. If you hear that, and again, this is a metaphor, if you hear that and you feel openness, expansiveness, and love, you'd be like, Susan, I forgive you. You're coming from your story. I'm living mine. Thank you for that burst of energy in the past. It has nothing to do with me except how I choose in this moment of now, right? You've just transmuted something. You've just healed something. You've just amplified your manifestation by reaffirming and re-strengthening it. And maybe you saw the wound as the gift, because Susan's vitriol related to healthy eating might have strengthened your emotional fixation on that topic, even if the fixation was previously related to negative emotions. And now you're going to have such a capacity for a honed in awareness on a topic that you're going to realize you can apply it anywhere. And whenever you heal any big topic, it's like when in primary school you ace a hard test, you realize you could do that again. Hey, thanks for the love on Instagram. You realize when you rock out something hard and you heal or transmute or overcome something hard, you can do it again. It reinforces your belief in yourself and your self-worth. And while I hope and pray, I know I could pause, that was a big one, but I'm going to go on. When you have expanded self-worth and belief in yourself, your barriers to being an expert level master magician just fade away. If you believed you could teleport to me and materialize an elephant and make it fart sprinkles with the entirety of your being, please make it happen, right? In the next 5 seconds. 5, 4, come on. No elephant, no sprinkles. Maybe I'm a lower vibration, not seeing it. Maybe it happened for you. So obviously there are limitations and hard lines for most of us in this world at this moment, and that's fine, right? People aren't flying everywhere and people aren't materializing. That's okay. Like, that's happening for some. We're at where we're at. And yet we all know we can grow higher. We all know we can grow more. Yet when you have, I could say infinite, but just to keep a grasp on sanity, a self-worth that's 5 times what you have now, not that is arrogant or full of yourself, just pure self-worth, you'll be completely fine with whatever outcome. If you can materialize that elephant and make her fart sprinkles, then you'll be like, oh, I knew I could do this. This doesn't change if I'm a good or bad person. If you couldn't, be like, oh, I couldn't. It's a simple fact, no big deal, right? If you look at your manifestation intention for today, or any goal or any intention any time in life, and that does not affect your self-worth, if truly you feel you're a good, whole, healthy, worthy, deserving, complete person, no matter what happens outside of you, your motivations will be so much more pure. And if they're impure, it's not bad either, right? It's just a measurement of a quality, no need for judgment or emotional reactivity. So getting aligned, and why I mentioned the second chakra so many times, just to make this full circle from the beginning, we're going to meditate in just a minute or two. I apologize for going longer on the theory. When you're aligned and when you're healed in all these chakras and all these components and elements of being, the manifestations become effortless. When your crown chakra is open, information can stream in effortlessly. That was the first chakra I really focused on. When your third eye is open, mine's been open since I was, I don't know, 85 million lifetimes ago, then you can see stuff. And when your throat's open, you can accept the authentic truth and speak it and live it. And with your heart, feeling and passion and releasing of fear, with your solar plexus, your will and identity, with your second chakra, your relationships and well-being, and your first chakra, your safety, security, groundedness, and physical material world, manifestations, presences, experiences of those things. So just to give you another resource, because there's stuff going to be free in this, if you care about chakra alignment and healing, again, A, please comment if you'd like a workshop on that. B, you can always reach out if you would like a session or recommendation. And C, the Soul Aligned Mastermind I'm launching in about a month, maybe sooner. If you want to get on the wait list for that, please hit me up, because that's going to cover all that stuff in depth. Because to be honest, every one of those topics could be 2 hours, and I care to do them justice. And I know for you seekers out there and you determined beings, you're going to find the people and the path and the places and the resources that serve you best. And I bless that in you until the end of all infinities. And while infinities aren't endless, I'll leave you with that logical paradox. And now it's time to shift into the meditation, beautiful humans and everyone else. So, as per usual, please set up your room and set up your body to where you can completely bliss out and go very deep without having to move a muscle. Whatever you need to do for your space in your body, have things be peaceful, have things be calm, have things be free from distraction, and just hold the knowing that if something comes up, which you would have called a distraction yesterday, allow that today to support you going deeper. Allow any distractions of any nature and all natures to be seen as part of your training. Because as you close your eyes and start to breathe slowly and deeply, you know that you care to walk as an embodied ascended master, which means you can heal people in the market, you can heal people from your home, you can teleport in a rainstorm or through a tornado. Not everything needs to happen from a peaceful, calm, quiet temple. And as you're continuing to breathe slowly and deeply, maybe pausing after each exhale is complete, and pausing after each inhale, breathing slowly and fully and deeply at your own pace, I want you to see yourself breathing in a brilliant white light from your crown, just bathing your entire body top down. As you're exhaling, any colors or darkness or anything that you wish to release, just see the light you're drinking in, wash it down, and it leaves through your feet into the earth, whatever the surface is under your immediate physical feet. Just see a portal open, and anything you don't wish for goes into the earth. And the earth is ready for it. She is prepared for it. It is going into a part where there is capacity to neutralize and heal and nourish and support. And just continuously breathing. And now I offer for you to breathe in through different chakras. If you feel a certain chakra needs to be strengthened or filled with light, breathe in white light or the color of that chakra into that chakra, fill it up, allow it to shine so bright. And on your exhale, allow anything to be released to fall slowly down or out through the chakra into the earth, into the void. And we're actually going to do 15 of these to really charge up and purify. So at 15, breathe with me, or at your own pace if you need to. Take in that brilliant light deep, deep into your being. Fill yourself, infuse yourself with the strength and the love and the magnificence. And then exhale any and all things that should not be present. Breathe in the richness of peacefulness in this present moment and time. Letting your entire body and all bodies totally relax. And exhale any tension from your physical, mental, emotional bodies and completely let it melt and drip away. Breathe in a calm sense of power and readiness and take in your resource, and exhale any needs to react from fear, as feels safe and comfortable in this moment. Breathe in an expansive, clear mind. See a balloon in your head as you breathe in, getting bigger and bigger, pushing any unneeded thoughts out to the far corners of the universe. And exhale, let all those thoughts go far off into protective boxes that you can call in at a later time. You don't need any of them now. All of them can be released. Breathe in the nourishment and remembering of your infinite vastness and connectedness with all universal knowledge. Take in that breath, hold that breath for a moment, and exhale the need to recall and remember and recite things at a moment's notice to keep them. Exhale all fears of losing or forgetting knowledge. Pause and breathe in, just nourishing fresh air, and breathe in resource to your body. Exhale just regular air. Again, breathe in regular air, fill your upper, middle, and lower lungs. Breathe in a little bit more to feel just a little bit of a safe stretch. Hold it for a second, And then exhale everything and push your stomach in. One more. Breathe in nourishing fresh air. Imagine you're surrounded by the most beautiful forest. Fill your body, your life, your field with this fresh air. Hold it. It's so yummy. Exhale. For your next breath, allow the breath to come in through your third eye and see that breath opening your third eye like a funnel, and see the portal in your third eye opening wide. And as you exhale, allow the breath to leave through the back of your head and allow the back of that chakra to open as well. Within the next breath, call in all the angels, divine beings, and guides you feel comfortable working with of a goodly nature. As you breathe in, you see them descending, materializing, coming and surrounding your whole being. As you exhale, you relax in the knowing that they will empower and serve and protect you. As you inhale, I want you to open the doors in the lower chakras that feel right to allow energy to come and go in the best, most appropriate, healthiest flow for you. And as you exhale, just allow any skeletons in the closet, anything in any of those chakras you want to release, just release it all in colors and sounds and images, just faster and faster. Let it all go and pause. As you inhale, let's do that again. Now for any chakra, breathe in light and strength and opening. And for the exhale, release anything you don't wish to be in. 3 more. Consider the vibration of pure love however you can. You know how to do this. Breathe in through your heart. Fill your heart with so much love. If this is difficult, just tune into me. Just fill your heart with so much love to where it's overflowing with just pure, incredible, unconditional love and yumminess. And just exhale into that you are held. One more time, breathe into your heart. Feel this so much love and so much yumminess and so good, and held, and exhale just anything. And for this last one, breathe in the entire universe through that sense of love. Feel the universe as a soup around you that as a magician you can play with, and just exhale and dance with the universe however you wish. And now continuing on your own to breathe slowly and deeply. Consider breathing in whatever you wish, any of that meditation you want to have more of. Now is your free time. Breathe in love, opening, energy, angels. Exhale anything you wish. This is your time. Just 4 more. Breathe in anything you wish to call into your being. Surround and fill yourself with it, all open as it feels right. Exhaling goodness and love, beauty out into the world. Inhaling all of the things you want to call into your being. And as you exhale, your exhale expresses those as you express them out into the world in thought, energy, vibration, and action and meaning. Inhale all that you wish to experience, see, perceive, and know. And exhale those experiences occurring and that confirmation. And inhale one last time, anything you want, any meaning. And exhale the same. Now with your eyes ideally closed, I want you to consider as you're breathing slowly, deeply, if you ever wonder what to visualize in, breathe in love and light and exhale love and light as a basic default. And you could put one hand on your stomach to remind you if it feels right. But I want you to view your body from 10 feet away. This is just a quick shift. I want you to see what your body looks like from 10 feet away. And again, at any time, fill yourself with love. And I want you to look around your surroundings and see the surroundings your physical body is in this moment. And I want you to look at the wall that's closest to the outside. I want you to see through that wall in your astral form. I want you to see what is beyond it. And your analytical mind is taking a break. You're just looking through that wall. And now I want you to move or teleport through that wall to where you're standing or floating in front of that other scene. And I just want you to kind of get close and inspect it. Whatever it might be, get close and inspect the details. And as you're inspecting the details, I want you just to create a little computer terminal just floating in the sky, a little touch screen. And there's a little button, there's a series of menus that you just know how to tap and swipe, and it says, go back 5 days. And I want you just to click the button and just reset time 5 days, and you're in your same place, and look at this thing outside. I want you to go back in your room and look around your room 5 days ago, look at yourself, whatever you were doing 5 days ago. Remember to stay full of love. I want you to, with this terminal, pick a certain number of years between 2 and 20, and just intuitively pick a certain number of years, and you're going to stay focused on yourself. Pop in that time frame and let that time wind backwards 2 to 20 years, and see where you were 2 to 20 years ago, whatever time frame you picked. Remember, especially breathing in love, releasing love and light. Anything that comes up is taken care of by the angels, guides, guardians, gods, and goddesses. You're focusing on your astral form. You're not reliving, you are simply witnessing. And as you witness what you see, I want you to call in, like we did earlier, a massive, vast amount of beautiful love filling your heart, ignoring everything else for this moment, filling your entire being with love, so bright, so incredible, just pure love. As you exhale, I want you to direct that love as white light towards your past self and all of the surroundings and anything related. And just do this a few more times. Breathe in and fill this love. And as a witness, just blast off and send this love as energy to whatever you're thinking and considering and your past self, and just fill it with love. And now, as you keep doing this at your own pace, consider seeing how your emotional body and your energy body of your past self changes. Maybe how the mind of that self, which is not online in your current self, it's off in a box, see how that mind and energy body might change with the presence of so much love. And if you fell off track, that's okay. Forget everything. Just breathe in, take in, fill yourself with love. Nothing else to do. Let it expand and resource completely. At any time in the workshop, you can ignore everything and do just that and restore. You can rewatch this later. And for those of you who want to go on, you're in that setting. And as you continue to send the love, you know at some deep level that you're writing a memory. You're transmuting and transforming the past. This is the past that is meaningful to you, and you're adding a layer of energy and vibration that no one can refute. No matter what else anybody or you might remember happened in the 3D, that memory is now being filled with love. And now taking a break from that, if you were doing it, and shifting back above time and above space, you're in an infinite, maybe holodeck or infinite void or terminal, whatever you want to see. And I want you to see the months or years of your life between that moment and this moment. It's just cells in a comic strip. And I want you to see the old timeline, which is memories as you had them, as a comic strip on top. And the new timeline is actually being rewritten over it. So a little bit higher, where you actually have to look up to see it. And each cell of the past that might have had a twinge of darkness, of negative emotion, is now having that stream of white light along with it, and is changing it. And I just want you to pick one cell, one memory, one timestamp in the intervening time, and see old meaning, new meaning. And I want you to consider, as you're viewing these two timelines, the one you just created, great job, and the one that was, even if you just made 0.1% of a shift, or 100,000%, doesn't matter. I want you to see now the end of both timelines, this new timeline, your current being, your current form. How is this transmutation of memory filled with love affecting you in the now? Affecting you as the witness, and if you are above emotion, affecting your physical and energy body as you're witnessing it from several feet away, just through a little viewing portal. And with that knowing of the ability, you can edit a memory, and you can edit your timeline, and that you can do things through time, backwards or forwards. Feel how empowering it is, and consider your future timeline. And so just kind of like a butterfly, the two wings to the left are your two past timelines. The bottom left is the timeline before this workshop. The top wing on the left is their past timeline at your present moment. And now look to the right. And looking to the right, you see one timeline, the butterfly ring to the lower right, that is life as it has been. And now aligned with your goal, knowing you can pull in all this love, let's charge up about 5 more times. So really being resource, pulling in love, just letting go of everything else for this moment, pulling in a vast white light into your entire being, pulling in so much love, filling your heart and holding it as long as you can. And exhaling love out through everywhere, to everywhere, fully and completely. And then breathing in so much more love, filling yourself with so much more love, and sending it anywhere, for any purpose, any reason, any time. Doing this 3 more times at your own pace, being only one with the radiating love that exists in all places as of all places and things. And as you're taking your last breath of pure loving energy, I want you to keep that energy in you. As you exhale, you just spread it throughout your system, charging your reserves, expanding your reserves of love. Now, with this love, with this energy, consider your future timeline. And consider that goal, that intention you had earlier, and take some of this love and don't send it out. You are full. Call in more love. And as you call it in, call in 2 streams, one to yourself, so you grow in the power and presence of love. And as you breathe in, simultaneously send that other stream to open a portal, like we did last time, into the new timeline you wish to create, where your goal flows to you effortlessly. And as you exhale, you direct that second love stream to and in and through that portal. So again, with every in-breath, you breathe love into yourself and simultaneously into that portal. When you exhale, you look through that portal as a being more and more resourced. Breathing in love, directing it to yourself into the portal. You can do this a few more times. Breathing in rich love, feeling even more charged, seeing that portal even more expanded. And now as we look into that portal, through this higher, maybe even detached space, let's zoom out. And let's see that comic strip forming on its own. This is taking less effort than you thought it would, than even last time. When you see this comic strip, you see the extra love energy, and you see little tendrils of love going from outside the timeline, pulling in little things, little symbols, people's, places, circumstances, emotions, like energy work, beings, divine beings, support, blessings, prayers, all the stuff that is coming into your life effortlessly, continuously breathing in light, continuously exhaling light. And on the second timeline, see how the goal that you had, that you thought required a certain amount of time and action or preparation for, see that goal as bright and as occurring in this new timeline in a sooner point in time to this now than in the last one. And see the path there not as hard, if not, see the path as delightful and full of love. This is a path that you want to travel. This is a path that will strengthen you to travel. Traveling down this path to achieve, feel, actualize this goal and intention is no longer hard work. It's something that infuses you, enlivens you. It's something that you look forward to. It's something that's lighthearted. It's something that even when you feel tired or depleted, you look forward to doing, because it restores you, because it's full of this love. So snapshot this. Take a snapshot of this knowing and this feeling. Literally, take a photo, make a sculpture, symbolize it, and create in your mind's eye, in this astral world, a little pedestal, and put this symbol. You're making a replication. You're not taking it away. You're taking this replica of this feeling and this knowing and this awesomeness and delight and confidence that's calm, and you're setting it, call it maybe like a sphere, on this pedestal. And now next to that, I want you to open up a little door, and through that door, you're viewing as a witness the mind and body of your ego self, of the lifetime you came from for this exercise. And you're like, hey, I have a present for you. And you take this pedestal with this incredible universe of love and possibility, and you slide it through the door. Now, as you slide it through the door, observe what that self does. Does the self ignore it? Does it shy away? Does it embrace it and take it into its heart? You are detached. It doesn't matter. All things will happen in the right time. And as you take in love and send love towards a clock representing time, you're sending love for all meanings and representations of time. And any emotions attached to the concept of time as hungry tendrils, they get nourished by that love and they come back from where they came. And just time represented by a clock is just radiating love and neutrality, and it has a bubble of protection around it, and time does not affect you here. And just as you resource love, if we need a couple more breaths, take a couple more pure love breaths into your heart. Feel that warm yumminess of love. Exhale it throughout your whole being. Any darkness that might have arose, exhale that darkness out through your being, out into the universe, where it'll be purified. Breathe in more love, breathe in more light into your heart. Exhale it throughout your whole being, extend it throughout your body. Breathe in more love, feel that love, extend it outward in all directions. Breathe in love one more time and do that double stream again. One stream to yourself and one stream through that open door to that mind and body of this incarnation you came from. And now as you breathe in, I want you to take your hand and I want you to reach up and just turn a knob in the air, physical and or astral. Just turn a knob in the air, and that knob is opening the channel of that infinite love to flow through that doorway and continuously fuel mind, body, spirit of the incarnation before this workshop. And have the knowing as the witness. Step back again, step back from all these things you're viewing. Now look at the rest of this incarnation as a comic strip. You don't have to look at any specific event, at any specific timeline. You don't have to measure anything. Just see as a very long comic strip the rest of this incarnation, and just see that stream of love going through that whole comic strip. And if you want to add more than one stream, you can. And if you want to make the stream bigger, you can do that too. And this is a meditation you can do at any time for any related purpose to any number of people or situations or worlds. But you turn that knob, that love comes in on its own. You flip the domino, the other chain of dominoes goes, and now the stream of love is gently flowing without any future effort from you into all the rest of this life. And you know that you have the ability to pull it away, to stop it. And I want to offer to you the decision to say out loud or keep in your mind, but I offer for you to say this with me out loud. So I'm going to say a few words and pause and do that a few times. I hereby allow, now and forever, this infinite stream of resourceful love to flow through and flow in all of my lives throughout all of time until I verbally, with a clear intention, tell it to stop. And at any time, I can amplify, enhance, pause, or expand this practice for myself or any other person, place, thing, or phenomenon. I am always connected to, and I always have available, the infinite source of love, no matter what. And I gratefully receive this source of love, even when I'm not aware of it. This is true for me throughout all of my realities until I verbally say that it is not to be. And I'm going to pause for a second if you're in high alignment for you to add on any custom addition or anything else you want to add on for yourself. Spoken words have power, so I'm going to pause just for about 10 seconds for you to add on any powerful anchoring affirmation, reality creation you wish to right now. Go. If you're feeling jazzed and you want to continue, hit mute or hit pause. And Oh, I feel I feel a desire to keep going. So keep going with this. And I'll say we're back when I'm back to teaching. So I'm just guiding you, and you can ignore or listen to my voice. As you're speaking out loud, speak from your entire being. Speak from this moment of present now. Speak as the witness, speak as the soul, speak with the love and expansiveness that you feel, that you have ever felt. This is as significant as a life moment can be. And as you're speaking, as you're calling in, as you're affirming and dictating reality, know that you are creating and transforming truth as it is. And now to allow the mind to slowly come back and not be detached, and to allow this to be anchored, because it's great when you do magic to distract and go to something else. I want you to clap your hands 5 times and open your eyes. All right, now I want you to snap 5 times and look at the camera and open your eyes. Now I want you to roll your shoulders back 5 times, 1 each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now do something silly like one more. And the fun of that, and now I'm going to start talking a little bit faster, and I want to fill your mind up. And the reason why I want to fill your mind up, and if you feel really like you want to continue that, then again, pause or mute and continue what we were doing. But the reason I've completely drastically and very quickly shifted modes is because if we were to have slowly gone back, then that would have given subtle subconscious things opportunities to creep in and throw doubt. So I'm going to actually change the subject for 10 minutes so your subconscious can absorb everything you brought in. And I'm going to tell you a handful of different stories and a bit of different information. And the value of that is for you to not think of that stuff so it can wire and anchor. Information anchors in our system based on the emotional component and connection with it. And by actually ending the emotion and shifting right back to the mental, or most of it, then we are ending that memory and anchoring it in. We are ending the addition to that memory, and we are anchoring it deep into your system. If we continued on in that vein, you could actually have gotten fatigued, and it might have been hard for that memory to be in its entire component along with the stuff with it. It might not have been, but and we're gonna wrap in. We're gonna touch back on those things, but I just wanted to actually shift topics just for a second to help you in the process that I just shared. And the topics we're going to shift to are flashy magic as an inspiration to learn magical skills, and we're going to talk about life purpose and career as related to spiritual alignment. And while those are related to what we just did, they're not, they're off enough to allow what I just mentioned to occur. And again, if you're really feeling meditative and this is jarring, pause or mute and process, but just trust me, I feel this is a very healthy thing for integration. So as you're thinking about flashy magic, teleportation, levitation, telekinesis, affecting the weather, psychic communication, as a demonstration and validation of your abilities as a spiritual being, as a magical person, as a witch, wizard, druid, shaman, whatever, magician. I love the word magician, so I'm using the word magician. That is just a demonstration of your innate ability to affect and create and change reality at will. All that stuff is just like doing a cartwheel. Somebody could say a cartwheel is showing off. Somebody else could say, wow, I can see you really mastered your body in certain ways to do that cartwheel. Good job. And it is as special or not as special as somebody sees. If you do a cartwheel in most places, most people aren't going to burn you at the stake or criticize you that that's impossible. You just did it. And as much as we can reference the science, as much as we can patiently explain any spiritual concept that we have to somebody who doesn't get it, or gosh, the word muggle is kind of derogatory nowadays, but somebody who's not, we'll say the word muggle, but we'll say it lovingly just because it's so all encompassing, and not maybe a magical maybe. I'll say I have this continuum of magical maybe. So as you're talking with somebody who's a magical maybe, like it could be possible if they're not sure. If you could demonstrate something, if you could, I'll go back to this key. if you could levitate a key on command, then that would show them, you have the ability to affect the physical world at will. And any shock, any disbelief, any, oh my God, that's so hard, any, oh my God, it'll take me lifetimes, any, I don't have all that chi, let that fall away. As I was speaking just now, just in this moment live, this, which was stuck to my back, fell off and fell down behind my back through my shirt. This is a pendant which neutralizes EMFs. It's from a company called Golden Wave. I'm not affiliated. If you want the spelling, it's goldenwave.com, or you can comment and I'll remind you. This has a sticky thing. It sticks on your phone. My phone case, my phone's Instagramming. My phone case has one of these things, and it just neutralizes EMFs. And there's a lot going about 5G right now, and stuff like this can neutralize a lot of the crap that can affect us from it. You can put them on your circuit breaker, on your Wi-Fi router, on your phone. I have one on my computer, all over the place. So for me, the value of flashy magic, of having a statue of Lakshmi that moves or can move, is a powerful demonstration that magic is real, which it is, and that spirit and matter are one. So we have E equals MC squared. We have Barbara Brennan, one of the best energy healers and teachers in the US. I believe she has a school in Florida and she lives in New York, but I haven't updated that knowledge in a little bit. But she's been called one of the most spiritually influencing people of all time. Even though Wikipedia, which I believe is very biased by trolls and bots, even though Wikipedia shoots down energy healing, likely if you're tuned into this, you know it's real. You probably experienced and performed it a bunch. There is still a level of significance when we see reality changed in a way that like shouldn't be possible based on the, I don't know, 20th century, 17th century version of reality that's still the commonly accepted thing. Even mainstream scientists who talk about quantum stuff, they throw so many asterisks on it and the word theory as opposed to practice so much that, on one hand they're dragging their feet, on the other hand it might be healthy that they're slow, because who wants non-benevolent military to have access to quantum magic? I don't really, even though that's blessed and perfect in higher realms, like I don't really want to be in that 3D. I don't think you do either. So the value of flashy magic, and one of the reasons why I care to teach so much, I love helping people be spiritually awakened to the degree that I'm capable of. I love helping people be free of reactive emotion, learning manifestation and astral projection. But a key reason is, say the people who have demonstrated they can affect the temperature of water through chi and intention, build their skills and band together, perhaps 100,000 of us could reform the glaciers. Perhaps the value of that is tons of lives and lots of culture for any coastal city and non-coastal cities that would be affected by the sea levels continuing to rise. So there's an economic incentive for governments to fund that type of magical training, and there's a practical real world value for it, right? Like, I don't care about levitating this to show off at parties. Like, it might be fun for a second, but if you could levitate, say all you can levitate is a key, and you can only levitate it like 5 inches, and you can do it on command, it would get boring after a while, right? Just, maybe it would take some time, but it would get boring after a while. Yet, if these abilities, and when these abilities come online and amplify in collective group magic, as we know magic amplifies in, the possibilities to solve problems and do awesome stuff in the world just go up so much, right? As we're recording this, there's a lot that's been documented in energy healing. I had a workshop with William Bennett, who said that he held rats who had terminal cancer, like tumors everywhere, laboratory, Ivy League university settings, peer-reviewed, all that. Hands-on healing, rat, cancer gone. Rat immunized from cancer, meaning you inject the rat with cancer, it can't get cancer. He had all these photos, he has all these research papers. To be honest, I haven't read every single word and I haven't memorized them, but he is, I feel, legit enough that he was given presidency of the Society of Scientific Exploration. And he probably almost entirely forgot it, but we'll go back to wrapping up the previous meditation in a few minutes. President of the Society of Scientific Exploration, sse.org, I believe. And they have tons of research papers on magic and psi phenomenon and energy healing and how to measure it. And, it's like, I often say, like, I don't love to be or act as a walking dissertation. citing every scientific thing I've read over 23 years in this lifetime for magic related stuff, but it's out there. Anytime you want some of that out there, that is going in my science library in Magical Golden Age, and it's available. Again, just type it in now if you remember it, or don't pause the workshop for it, but just remember it, or again, comment below if you want me to post it in the comments. So going back to the workshop, hopefully by now it's been internalized to a quality level, and it's been anchored, and you're out of that emotional experience and you ended it on a really high note of possibility. You learned how to reprogram memories. You learn how to permanently increase the amount of love vibration in your life. Oh, that's awesome. You learned and were reminded that you have infinite consent and that it's safe to learn from other spiritual teachers, because there are many times I gave you opportunities to customize it however you wanted. And you also hopefully learned and remembered that any goal, any project, vision, dream, intention you have can be achieved, experienced in less time. Now, there could be a million asterisks for it taking more time, like your life path should go that way, your karma is X, you're not ready for it yet, you need to experience Y, you have some wounding to heal first. That's our story. You could live it if you want to live it. I'm here to honor your free will. But as we talked about in previous workshops, the story that you choose is the story that you experience. And why delay having a life thanks, Anne. Why delay having a life that's full of more love, that's full of more delight, that's full of more like rich, epic, yes experience? I'm not saying be impulsive. I'm not saying you were going to master this and everything you want, including apples falling, materializing in your hand in a second, are going to happen if you do this meditation a bunch. But I am saying that the more you do this work that I presented and the work in general spiritually that you feel is aligned, the more the material conditions of your life are going to not matter, and the more they're going to be what you want. And by not matter, I mean your happiness and sovereignty will be independent of your immediate living conditions, of your finances, of other people, of your physical body. And your ability to influence all those things, with a big asterisk above other people, because, you know, respect free will and other stuff I said before, your ability to influence that stuff will also go up, right? I feel so deeply with this. There's my favorite manifestation that I wanted to share. As I was graduating from college, I really wanted to live in a 4-bedroom house with a big backyard, with a garage, and 3 levels. I wanted the downstairs to be an art studio, the garage to be an art studio, the backyard for martial arts, a cul-de-sac for privacy, biking distance from college campus and from a Whole Foods, and upstairs for a bedroom, yoga, and office, and a downstairs just for like everyday living stuff. And I wanted it all to myself, and because I was in the dorms and apartments for a while in college, and I wanted it like cheaper than normal. And I was in Ann Arbor at that time, and a decent studio bedroom was like $750 to $1,000, depending on where you were. And the house I described was like, you know, in a neighborhood that's farther away from campus, it's like 1,1600. A realtor friend called me while I was in a break from class. And long story short, I had not advertised this, I had not pitched this, I had not toured houses. She told me there is a house available that had 4 bedrooms, 3 floors, cul-de-sac, about a mile from campus, towards the Whole Foods, half a quarter mile from the Whole Foods, that essentially had everything I wanted. Now, sometimes I tell the story a bit longer, but that house arrangement, the financial expense for that was $350 a month. That lasted for a couple years. Maybe it was $650. I think it was, I don't know, it was really, really cheap. I'll actually have to look at my records, but it was like way less than half of what it cost and less than what an apartment would have cost. And I was so grateful for that because I had been holding that vision every single day. I believe now it could happen faster. Several months ago, I had the vision of being gifted a house in Venice, California to live in. And I'd been, you know, I talked about levitating elephant. I used to talk about levitating cat. You know, it's nice to rotate what you levitate. Oh, I could have rhymed there. It's hard to rhyme with levitate. Wait, conceptual block. But I was talking about levitating cat all the time, and 2 people hit me up with from the same company, And we had conversations. They wanted me to be very involved, helping them grow and helping them empower people who, it was kind of a crypto-based company that gave universal basic income to people, especially artists, and gave essentially money to artists to help them improve the world creatively. Cool company. I was happy to talk about helping them achieve their mission because I care about that stuff. Their logo was a levitating cat, and their headquarters was scheduled to be in Venice at a house they bought and gave away rooms for free. I hadn't posted about any of that stuff. The levitating cat I mentioned more offline, maybe a couple times online, but the people who hit me up were not frequent attendees of workshops or anything. It was like, wow. And I had probably done manifestations holding the vibration of the Venice house like 5, 6, 7 times for, a few minutes, maybe one time for like 15, 20 minutes. I think I put out like 5 to 7% of the time and what felt like energy expense from the house after college. And that's what happens when you expand your capacity. That's what happens when you level up an ability. That's what happens when you grow your faith in yourself. Now, that permanent thing that I mentioned to you, that permanent connection of love energy, that is a huge capacity builder. Imagine if, this is a really mundane example, but it makes sense. Imagine if you bought federal treasury bonds that paid out a consistent, let's just say 10%. It's not accurate right now, but just for easy math, let's say 10% interest a month forever until you cash them in. And think about $1,000 worth. Every year you get $100 without fail, period, because you set up that system. So what we just did esoterically is filling your system, your life, your lifetimes with love, with, of course, the permission and consent to alter that anytime you choose to, and with a safeguard that, unless you edited the safeguard, which you always can if you want, that changing that or stopping that or pausing or erasing that is something for you to say out loud. And of course, if you're at a point where you can't speak, then a powerful thought will do the same thing if you mean it, which is actually very hard to fake. Because that's kind of like the treasury bond thing, right? So your presence of love in your life to support your manifestations, to support your oneness with all times, places, and things, to support the speed and power and amplitude and magnitude of your manifestations, that's now permanently increased. And if you're like, I don't believe that at all, then you may have negated it, right? If you tear up the treasury bond or throw it away, there's ways of getting rid of these. But deep down if you feel that is true and real. Now, if we were in session one-on-one, or if everybody, we were like live in a circle, or this was a different type of a format, or it was like very intimate, I could probably tune into each of you and quantify it for you. And it's nice quantifying spirituality, but quantified spirituality is a separate book I'm writing in the works, and I think you really need a good model for it. Because when you talk about quantifying love, there's so much to untangle there and so much to specifically define, and maybe a lot of stuff to clear. Is pretty critical. So we're getting close to Q&A. So if you have any questions about anything related to this or any other workshops or anything appropriate for this container, please post them on Facebook or inside Zoom here. I'm taking a look at where Instagram was, so if I look up, I look for that. And anything that comes up to your mind that you feel is appropriate to ask, please ask, and I'll do my best to cover it. So in workshop 3, that is holographically connected with workshop 4, so there is a massive protection against anything that I teach being abused from any being who wanted to use it for dark purposes, which is kill or hurt or maim or subvert the will of other beings that are holographically bound from using any of my material to do that throughout all time and space. And I said that, which applies to all my teachings, including this one, because when you teach powerful magic, you want to make sure it's used by the right people in the right times and places. And we've all heard examples in history of people who had a gun or had power and hurt others with it. And I'm sorry if you take issue with that wording. If you think I should correct it, please let me know. I've run it by a lot of teachers. And in full transparency, when I was a lot younger and when I didn't fully know or trust myself, I actually did something more extreme. And I don't feel that that minor binding was extreme. I actually bound my own free will from doing those things. Because I felt, and this was like when I was 13, I was scared that there could be a time when I could get angry, or I was 13 as an adult, maybe unsober, and actually wish for the ability to do those things, like, oh, you're a jerk, I'm going to zap you, right? That kind of thing. And we don't want to be vindicative. We don't want to be vindictive, right? Even if non-magically, we don't want to wish harm on others. Even taking away all the esoteric and karmic stuff, of which there's boatloads, like that's just not healthy for your heart. So I say that as a safeguard because mystery schools used to be very hard to get into. Now there's so much stuff online. One of the reasons why I teach a lot is to provide a lot of high quality content that I feel is safe and complete and quality based on my level of knowledge, experience, and access, or I guess for you, whatever you perceive it to be. And I want to help people grow and avoid, I feel, some of the mistakes I feel I made, and grow faster. That's how knowledge progresses each generation. And in this case, a generation is a journey, is a minute, a day, an hour, however you want to define it. So as far as questions go, I don't actually see any questions, which means probably like before, everyone's like super zoned in. So just to give space for questions, I love seeing that heart. Just comments, more than comments. So I really would love to share other ways where you can grow along the ways that you've grown here. And for those of you who have attended my past stuff, sorry if this is a repeat, it's pretty short. You can breathe in love and breathe out light if you've heard me say this a few times. But this is the 4th workshop in the Astral Projection series. Every single time you re-experience a transmission, video or audio, of these or any type, you re-ingrain it into your nervous system. I recommend for yourself and for social transparency, growth, and support that every time you do that with one of my workshops, if you feel it's valuable to you and could be valuable for others, that you either comment on it or share it. Even if that doesn't affect me in any way in the material or spiritual realm, and it does, and thank you for that, that will, A, help you keep track of how much you honored a commitment to yourself to really master this. Even if you just comment the word Sasquatch and nothing else, we'll both know what it means. And I'll just, probably hit a heart emoji on it, and people are like, Sasquatch, what? And you'll just like wink at them. Or you could post something meaningful or what you recently experienced. I do my best to respond to all comments in a meaningful way. So, that's one thing you could do. And, same for any other teacher of this type. 2 is I have a massive collection of video teachings about chakras, spirits, souls, karma, magic, manifestation, psychic protection, third eye opening, grounding, spirits, like the whole magical curriculum. I created it a few years ago, so I look a little different, but it's still good. I review it regularly. And that I believe is on the link for this live. It's wizardschool.magicalgoldenage.com. And you have to do a few things to get access. That is a paid course. But as I always say, if you really, really feel something is essential for you and you don't have the financial means, please just DM me and I'll do my best to get you access because I care most about serving and the shifts this is creating. Although any of those other energies do help me live this life where I can teach more often and live and study more high quality stuff for you. I have a great book. I think it's great. Other people have said it's great. I guess I shouldn't compliment that. I guess my self-worth is good today. Magic is Real, full of lots of goodies. There's an audiobook which has lots of epic wizard voices and it's super fun by the very talented narrator, Jack Reeder. And there's a bunch more of those audiobooks coming out. And there's a Patreon where you can get magical support for your healing and abundance work, or just share love however you want. And if you sign up through Eventbrite, then I post new workshops there. I'm a little behind now. I only have one for tomorrow, which I'll talk about in a second. But you could click see first. You can make a personal note to hit me up anytime. You can go to magicalgoldenage.com and sign up for the newsletter and put a filter so it goes in your primary inbox, because who sees promotions these days? Very few people. So I put out a lot of stuff constantly, and I'm more than happy to. And if you feel there's a topic which you or the world really needs to learn, however general or specific, however general or specific, please let me know, because I trust you as the voice of the collective conscious. So I'm feeling called to share one more thing about timelines before I mention tomorrow's workshop and the next workshops in this series. The timeline you're aligned to is the one you're aligned to. And, oh, great question. The timeline you're aligned to is the one you're aligned to. What does that mean? Well, if you were born in the body of a I'm going to make simple language. I'm sorry if this doesn't apply to anybody. But if you were born in the typical body of a man or the typical body of a woman, your timeline is going to carry that theme and energy and pattern and circumstances related to that in most cases, right? Same as if you were born with 1 foot or no feet, or if you were living, let's say more for the now, if your financial circumstances have, been a certain way for a long time, or you feel they'd be a certain way for a long time. That's like an anchored timeline. That's an anchored story. So if you want a big radical shift in your body, in your financial circumstances, in your relationships, and where you live and what you do, in the impact you have in the world, and your magical abilities, in any of that stuff, fairy sprinkles, and any of that stuff, I should get some and just throw glitter at these, then likely you're going to need to make bigger shifts. And I am talking in a bit of 3D right now. I know at the highest, all is effortless, but again, it's good to speak to all versions of all selves. And the reason I want to share that is because it's healthy to have realistic expectations, right? In a curriculum that included telekinesis, I probably wouldn't start directly teaching telekinesis until I really confirmed that each person attending had practiced probably 170 hours of deep energy work up until that point. Not necessarily with me, but moving things with your energy takes a lot of energy and could burn you out. And the more energy work you've done, likely the more pure your energy body and the more energy can move through you. I would also want to know that each person had been in a highly awakened state, identifying with something other than their immediate physical incarnation for at least 55, 60 hours. Because again, identifying, like moving yourself as the key is easier than just moving the key. And when telekinesis happened in my presence, I remember, I had a teacher who said, don't say you did telekinesis, or because in the moment, I and the object were one. So when telekinesis happened in my presence is actually grammatically more correct. I remember I was walking into a Safeway, and it was a tough day. And as soon as I walked in, the fire alarm was blaring. I was like, it was like not pleasant at all. And I just wanted to buy something and go. Like it was one of those days a few years ago. Now I'm always perfect. Not true. Getting there. And I just, I know that I always have these abilities in me, but they're to be used when they're needed. You don't want to do a cartwheel when you're in line for fast foods. Like, hey, I'm just going to wait and order a shake, and then I'm going to get out and while my car is sitting, I'm just going to cartwheel back and forth and get back in my car. Like, it'd be fun, but not really something you do, right? And I do hold this stuff as kind of sacred, and it can mess with people's reality. So I'm kind of careful who I do it around, or who it is done. Well, you get the language. So I walked in the Safeway. The fire alarm was blaring. I just got very still. I looked at it and I said, stop. And it stopped in that instant. I didn't say, stop, 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 stop. And then 20 seconds later, it stopped, and I took credit. Just like, stop. And it did. Same thing happened with a tree full of birds. They were just like, caw, 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 as I was walking by them to a friend. And there were just like hundreds of birds. And I was in a fragile state. And I just looked at them like, very softly, stop. A dead silence. When birds get quiet, they'll get quiet one at a time. But if a cannon blast goes off, they'll all get silent and all run away. At this time, just the sound stopped. And not all the sound in my surroundings, like my ears didn't stop functioning. And I share these two things, whether you want to call them cities or coincidences or some other word, because those are demonstrations of being much closer to oneness. And it's much more valuable for you to work on oneness, on embodied awakening, on enlightenment as of a definition of which you feel is comfortable and accessible, because that will make magic easier. And I don't want you to waste your time. I want you to succeed in this stuff. And it might take more patience. That's kind of why I lived like a monk for the last 6 years, spending most of my time in my room. I would go out for groceries or appointments or events, but I've spent a lot of time like a monk focusing on this stuff and focusing on my internal and external worlds so that fundamental baseline would raise. It's like if you want to take up juggling or martial arts and you haven't done either, or cartwheels or whatever, and you keep your body in good shape and you raise the conditions of your body, it's easier to learn those things, do those things. All right, we got a question. Any other questions, please post them. We're about to wrap. From Tony, does meditation help you have astral dreams or lucid dreaming? I dreamt about winning the lotto. Well, from your dreams to this reality, Tony, and if you want to share the love with whoever showed up as a surprise gift, please do. You know, I have several takes on dreams, and the most expansive perspective is your awareness is shifting to a parallel reality that is accessible to you, and for you to accept and experience it, honestly, just do the exercises I've taught in these last 4 workshops. And I don't need to name them because all the stuff is there. That's a simple way to do it. Not to like toot my own horn, but that's a great way to do it. Taking a step down, and I believe it's effective, and I care to have integrity. Going a step down from that, dreams can show you what's possible in parallel dimensions. And if something is possible, you're more likely to take the actions in the material realm to make it happen. So I encourage you to consider, Tony, buying 17 is the high end in terms of a number of lotto tickets. I don't know your circumstances or the legalities. Please act responsibly of your own free will. I'm just sharing, this is for entertainment value only because I don't know the legalities of recommending lotto tickets. But just in this moment, that might be some of that's my own baggage about lotto tickets, so I apologize for that, but that's not a subject I normally talk about. And that's your spirit, your higher self, your consciousness, your guides, showing you a possibility that is in existence in your field right at this moment. So I see that's for you. I see 23 days of possibility, but in the next 4 to 5, it would be ideal. And I'd say just follow, trust, and align to your intuition. And if that feels hard for this topic in any way, then just note the date and time. Right now it's 8:45 Pacific time, PM, Tuesday, April 7th. Just 3.33 days from now, just calculate that. Buy your lotto ticket then, buy whatever one you're intuitively led to. If you're not sure, buy it with green on top and white in the middle and dark blue on the bottom, a scratch off thing, $5 lotto ticket, and go from there. And, you know, again, anything you want to share, great, but I hope you win, and please share your results. And if you don't win, then maybe it's trickster. But, you know, I'm really happy for you that you had that dream. So going a step down from that, that was 5D. 4D is you're sending out energies for a big financial boost and what astrologers would call unearned income. That does not mean undeserved income. That means income not from traditional typical work, like a gifted money. And the 4D is working more in symbols. So is the 5D, but for this time it's 4D. And so the symbol of winning the lotto could mean that there could be some money coming in. It could also mean, if you don't normally buy lotto tickets, that the way to receive that unearned income is through a path you don't normally take. It might be through faith. One of the most common scientific experiments for magic is having magicians influence random number generators or to remote viewing / astral projection, as we talked about in the first workshop, the similarities and differences, seeing the contents of a closed envelope. Now, if you've seen The Good Place, there's a beautiful example with lotto tickets, and I don't want to spoil it. It's a great show. The example happened in season 3. And normally I'd say it's okay to zero in, but for this, it'll be way better if you watch all of them. And The Good Place is a great show for smart, funny people. Has great actors and actresses too. And, if you get really good at remote viewing, you can probably rock the lotto. So that's on a symbolic level. On a purely 3D level, deconstructing it, I don't love that. But just if we want to isolate it, which you kind of can't because they're all connected, but somebody who's just speaking from the 3D might say it's subconscious thoughts and fantasies being expressed so they could be experienced or seen or known or understood, and it doesn't really matter. I want to offer that because I want to prepare you for it if you start telling people who are more muggly, because they'll be like, oh, don't bet your hopes on it. And obviously be responsible. Don't spend money before you have it in this type of a case. But yeah, that's how I can respond about the lotto. Related to astral dreams, I don't feel we astrally dream. I feel that, as I said in workshop 1, so I don't want to go into it too deeply now, that astral projection is a form of lucid dreaming that you go into at will with more awareness and thus more control. And usually lucid dreaming happens more by accident and involves more supplements and happens when you're sleeping. if you're good at astral projecting, you can schedule it and it will happen. For lucid dreaming, it's probably the same, but I feel from my own experience in both, and that lucid dreaming takes more work. And lucid dream, you need a time bucket of your sleep cycle or an extra sleep cycle. If you're good at getting into trance and astral projection, you can do it on command. I can often astral project while I'm talking. Like while I'm talking with you, I am, you might notice a difference in focus in my eyes. I'm aware of a version of myself in a non-human body in a different planet, writing etchings on a cave wall with like a sparkly silver thing. And I feel that as me just as much as I feel it now. And I see, hey there, nice to see you again, as a message I wrote to myself. So, you know, for me, that connection is so strong that that astral projection, you know, that's a 4D word, maybe a bit of 5D word. For me, I feel more access to unity consciousness in that component of that past life and a bunch of other things. So I honestly feel the world of astral projection is a little limiting, because again, in unity, all things are, and even the words astral and projection are limiting and thus, you know, not unity. And as you get closer to oneness, you have access to all this stuff. So I hope that was a good enough answer. If not, please comment and I'll respond after the workshop. Love you too, brother. It's cool. See you later. All right. Last call for questions, please. We have 10 minutes until the time mentioned is about to end. That sounds cool, Tony. Thank you for sharing. I don't see a question there, but any shares people want to make is also great. I am getting a question psychically. Why do we need to do this and what does it matter? Well, you don't need to do this unless you feel deep down you do need to, in which case you don't need to ask me. And if you feel you want my permission, why give away your sovereignty? And if it feels way much safer for somebody else to tell or instruct you to do something, then I would encourage you to feel more comfortable with yourself as a magician, or whatever word you feel comfortable using. And if you're afraid of that, I'd say find the most chilled out, lighthearted, simple memory related to fear and magic, and do what we did in this exercise. If not, rewatch this or re-listen to this. And when you're full with love, instead of opening the door to your present self, when you remember when we looked through that, open the door to that memory. Maybe it's something that happened to you in this incarnation. Maybe it's a vision of the Inquisition or something else. But open that door, get that stream of love, connect that stream of love, and or do the past timeline exercise where you just blast and fill that space, that person, that idea with so much love, and the fear can melt away. If you feel you need a lot more help in this, because I sense some freak out energy in the person who's asking this psychically, you know, honestly, the easiest way to heal or process something, in my experience, is with a one-on-one session. And I've invested a lot in one-on-one sessions. I've worked with 25 healers in the past. Now I work with 2 really, because I've learned so much and I can do so much with myself. And I have so many non-physical beings and divine presences. Shout out Lakshmi. that and that are aspects of oneness, but that I feel very resourced. But in a session, you can just tell somebody stuff and they can tune into you and they can do usually a lot faster than you could. And my formula for this on average is, if there's something that you feel needs to be healed, that might be tough for you to heal, give yourself a 4-hour container, maybe half an hour to transition into the space, half an hour to purify, an hour to prepare and get into deeper meditation, an hour to do the healing work, and an hour to transition out of it. And if it's heavier, you can add more time to that. And I feel those 4 hours, a good healer can do all that for you in 1 hour. Now, for heavier topics or clusters of topics, you do more. Today, I got 2 hours of sessions, even with all my resourcing. And given I saw somebody who has 40 certifications, we went deeper than anybody, if not most people in his office go with him, because we combined our powers, our talents, our abilities. But that's a really efficient way of making change. And I would say in the meantime, I won't say repress. I just say don't think about it, don't obsess about it. You know, it's like if you have a broken leg and you're exhausted and doing healing work for it, just take a pause and healing your leg and go about the rest of your life. So same thing with any very difficult experience. Just trust that it'll be resolved when it needs to be resolved. Try to not have it be triggered. The more time sensitive it is, that means reach out sooner to get a session, or if that's really out of your means or ability or alignment, then just DM me and I can find free resources to send you and help you out with that. My pleasure. Meows, Tony. I love it. I meow to a lot of people. I meow differently depending on the person, but I meow to a lot of people. And when I get meows back, it's great. I I walked into a room once and I was like, meow, and everyone was like, meow. And I'm like, oh, yes. But I do say different meows for different people and, different reasons. So thank you so much, everybody who came. I really appreciate seeing you and serving you. The two things I didn't say were tomorrow's workshop and the next workshops in this series. So tomorrow's workshop, Wednesday at 7 Pacific, is how to be a champion. I had a great call with somebody I really love and care about, and we talked about being your own champion in the sense of like, do you have the power to like kick ass and inspire others to kick ass and be that leader, that innovator, that trendsetter? And we talked about Beyonce as an embodiment of a champion of a type, if not the champion in some definitions. And there's a version of that in all of us. And I got so charged up from that chat that I do something I don't do super often. I made a Facebook Live, just totally impromptu, bad sound, bad lighting, hadn't shaved, like, none of the niceness of the video now, even though there's always stuff that could be improved. And I just was like, for like half an hour about being a champion and claiming your personal power. So I probably could, post more about it. I think I'm going to share it tomorrow, just so this video has some time to be seen. If you love the idea, check my fan page, which is named David Solomon, for the event listing, or there should be an Eventbrite event listing in the Facebook Live of this Astral Projection Workshop that you can find it in. And if you just want the simplest thing, just shoot me a DM, although I get a lot every day, so I might take time to respond. But it's tomorrow, Wednesday, April 8th at 7 Pacific, and it's all about personal power in the sense of being a champion, being somebody people look up to, being somebody living from your highest authentic integrity, being somebody that if you're not feeling great and you were thinking of putting something in your body to cope or raise your state, when really it isn't right for you to put that in their body and you just claim your strength, you claim it. Thinking of, are you living by the example to where people are like, wow, this person's a role model? And are you doing that from a way of being? And the difference between way of being and making yourself do it is when we make ourselves do this, like, oh, I don't want to do it. Okay, I'm going to do this. Fine. Or I'm going to take some caffeine or take a shot or take a hit. I'm going to do it and be excited. No, I'm saying embody your champion self and be a champion. Now, just like cartwheels, you practice, you succeed, you're shaky, you fail, you take a break, you practice, you succeed, you're shaky, you fail. Eventually you can do rows of cartwheels, right? If you're committed. So being a champion, being a master magician, being a skilled astral projector, a little tongue twister, being any of those things requires constant skill, practice, and presence. Unless, of course, you're gifted a beautiful transmission from a version of the divine that you like, and then it just is. So all that being said, if that feels right for you to attend, I hope to see you there. If you can't, I send out recordings to everybody who donated. And same as before, if you really want the recording, you don't have the means for even $1 donation, DM me with your circumstances and I'll help you however I can. And the next workshop in this series, Astral Projection Workshop number 5, it's going to be getting more magical, and that's going to be working with the elements. I know in this one it felt the meditation was short, but it was so powerful and so deep, I felt it served its purpose. I feel like most of the next one will be experiential and much less theory. And if there's a lot of questions, I'll talk about theory. I might go more into them at 6, but elemental energies are super fun. The energy of water, the energy of fire, the energy of earth, the energy of wind, the energy of spirit, the energy of void, right? There's so much energy that you can call forth. And elemental energies, including metal and wood and Chinese traditions and shadow and some, working with them is working with the substance that forms matter, right? You could have prana, which is general energy. You could have cosmic energy or light, which is kind of similar, maybe less differentiated. You can differentiate a little bit in the Chinese system where you have Jing, which is sexual creative energy, Qi, which is vital life force energy that moves through your body, Shen, which is the energy of spirit and feeling good and being connected to higher planes, and Dao, which is like God consciousness energy. Elemental energy are, I think for just simple purposes, we'll say it's subcategories of Qi. So like you have your blood, then you have your white and red blood cells, right? You categorize it down. You have muscles, you have skeletal muscle and smooth muscle. So it's categorizations. So if you have poor digestion, you might have too much or too little fire. If you don't have a lot of stability in life, you might be deficient in earth ki. If you are constantly daydreaming and thinking about other stuff and just like floating out and loving information, you might have an excess of or over preference for wind energy or air energy. Now, if you want to have information that you get out to many others, I wish I had my feather wand on the table. I have two awesome feather wands. I'll show you next time. I'll get a bunch of my tools for you. If you're great with wind energy, then you can distribute information really well. If you're great with fire energy, you can inspire people really well. If you're great with earth energy, you can calm people very effectively. And if you're really good with water energy, you can be very emotionally nourishing to yourself, to others, to animals, to any beings. It feels really nice to be in water. And I just want to end this with water because I've had a lot of fire coming online as I've had my inner champion come in and as I've been teaching. So just from this water space, from this loving space, and sure, there's everything and everything, but I just want to thank you so much for coming. It means the world to me that other people care about these skills and these abilities and changing and leveling up the world in all the ways that we share and supporting each other just in spirit in the ways that we don't. And for any and all support you sent to me, whether it's psychically or through any other means, I'm super grateful because it's a really joyful journey to be able to serve in this way. And magic is my life. And that means you and your magic are important to me too. And just for everybody out there, I love you, I believe in you, and we are one. So I wish you all you wish for yourself. And yeah, it's been really great.